Kennedy Chandler, he's the buzz. He obviously showed out in his debut. I mean, you guys know what he's capable of, obviously, but how well did he kind of vibe with the rest of what you guys were trying to accomplish offensively?
Well, Kennedy's the kind of person and player that's going to vibe with wherever he is because he's a very humble person and he's a team first guy. It's I'm impressed with him because I'm pretty tough on point guards in general, but when I look at a talent like Kennedy, I just see so much more there, and I love the way he's responded to me trying to help pull that out with our coaching staff because we think there's just so many more levels that he can get himself to, but that's the great part about young players, having them that want to be coached, that players that embrace that, the work ethic, not only from a physical standpoint, but also from a mental side, learning things about the game that he had probably not thought a lot about in the past. Also trying to get him to understand that, everybody you go against, they're out there to go after you. And especially when you're the point, especially when you've got a little bit of a bullseye on your back from having such a, nice rating about you coming out of high school. But he's been great in terms of, one, he's a team guy all the way, which you love at that position. But and he is not. Again, when I coach him hard, get after him, I mean, he just takes it and says, "Hey, stay after me. I want to do this. I want to do it," because there's just, like I said, so many different levels that we know he can get to.
That element of his mindset, Coach. How critical is that to specifically the position that he plays? Because you talk about demanding a lot of that position in particular. How critical is it to the way that you expect a player at that position to perform?
It's critical, very critical. It's no different, than a quarterback in football, and where he's got to see the game through a lot of different eyes. He's got to not only understand his position, he's got to understand what's going on around him with the other guys, and he. Again, learning a system because for certain he'll be as he continues to go up the chain here, he's going to, more and more is going to be thrown at him, more and more is going to be expected of him. And I do think that once he continues to get himself in an elite mental shape, that's when we're going to see the great leaps and bounds that we know that he can make. But what's critical is that he wants it. That's what's really critical. And I told him, I said, hey, it's hard. It's so much harder than you think because he's been able to get by for a long time on just sheer talent. And the fact that if you watch the way he's shooting the ball right now, it tells you a lot about him, because when we first met him years ago, starting the recruiting process, that's the one area that everybody talked about he needed to get better with. And has worked so hard along with his dad through the years they ask Artie, what does he have to do to get better? And every time you mention something, next time you would see him, he had improved in those areas.
Vols head coach Rick Barnes here with us on 104.5 The Zone, recapping the team's win over UT Martin, 90-62 last night. Coach, not just the way that Chandler was shooting, but you guys as a team. I mean, a program record 17 made threes. Obviously, that number is an anomaly on a game-to-game basis, but how much of that is what you guys want to incorporate on a night-by-night basis with your offense?
Well, we know that we think we have shooters, and we think we've gotten, a number of them. And it'd be sweet if we know they're all going to shoot it well every night, but we know that's not going to happen. And when I looked at the tape last night, I would say I think we shot 43s. I would tell you that I thought 5 of them were ill-advised. Just that I understand being the first game and the fact that we have encouraged our guys when they're open, we want them to take shots. And so I think that they've got to have that freedom of mind to do that. But with that said, we took a few of them that were contested where I thought guys were anxious to get a shot up. And then when we bring John Fulkerson, when he gets back, will it change us some? Obviously it will, because he brings a dynamic to us that he'll touch the ball more inside. But last night, I felt like UT Martin, who I think they're an extremely well-coached team, and they know what they want to do. I thought they had a really good game plan in terms of spreading us out, just driving one-on-one, which at the beginning of the year, this time of year, you see a lot of that because in practice, we're going against each other. We know each other's tendencies. We're trying to work on offense. So, you can get a false sense of confidence about how good you might be on defense until you go against other people who now you don't know, and they're just simply putting their head down trying to drive the ball. And from a defensive standpoint, they were giving us those looks, and I felt like in the past, trying to pound the ball inside, it creates sometimes it allows your inside guys not to have the space they need because they're so far back in there. And we didn't want our inside guys, especially without Folky being there. He does play well in traffic, to get discouraged, because we need those guys to continue to grow. So we've encouraged our guys, if they're going to give us a look, we're not going to run some play that we've got to make 4 or 5 passes to get a look that we can get within the first 7 seconds of the shot clock.
It was certainly an enjoyable style to watch last night. Coach, what is the status of John Fulkerson at this point, and what's kind of the timeline for him?
We think he'll start working back with us tomorrow and working his way back in, and will he be available for Sunday's game? We don't know. But we'll see based on what he can do in practice, and then from there we'll just see, and he'll just keep trying to get his time back. He's done a lot with us. I mean, he, in terms of everything he can do without really basically being in competition, touching the ball, he's done as much as he can. He obviously on his sides trying to run and stay in shape, but it's not the same as what we do every day in the daily grind that we do if you're not out there going at it when we're playing 5-on-5. But I expect with his maturity, his age, that he'll be able to bounce back quick.
He's such an anomaly in this sport nowadays, Coach Fulkerson is, just from how much the program, not necessarily how much the program means to a specific player, although obviously this one has a great love for Tennessee basketball, but just for the fact that he's been around the program in a way where college basketball players really don't stick around or have that kind of stickiness to them with the community and with the fan base as he does. What does it mean to have that kind of presence, not just around your program, but in your locker room, and what it kind of brings to the guys in general?
Well, you said it first, that he does love Tennessee. He loves the great state of Tennessee, and he loves the Tennessee Volunteers, and he grew up wanting to be a part of that, and he's had a very unusual career with being hurt early in his career and missing basically his first year, and then the COVID and everything that he went through a year ago with the COVID, then the shot he took to the head, but he's a special person, and you can't not be around John Fulkerson and fall in love with him right away, because of he cares about other people. He's very humble, and he on the basketball court. I've said it before, I don't know if he looks the part, but he plays the part. He's got a really good feel, and he sees it. I think players, there's no doubt his teammates have great confidence in him. John's not the kind of guy that's going to say a lot from a leadership standpoint, but it's the way he goes about his day-to-day business with the guys individually. They know, again, it's almost like a big brother kind of deal where they know they've seen him, and they know he's been through a lot. They know he's seen a lot, and the fact is they watch him be so selfless in everything that he does.
Coach Rick Barnes of the University of Tennessee here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
Coach, with the depth that you guys have kind of manufactured and creating so many different ball handling guards that you're comfortable with and bringing the ball up the floor, what does that create for Santiago Vescovi in his role? How critical was this offseason for him in settling into what his role is going to be with Kennedy Chandler around him now, and of course along with Josiah Jordan-James and Ziegler and all the other guys that I know you're comfortable with handling the ball back there? What does that mean for Santiago in 2021 and 2022?
Well, Santi has got himself in the best shape he's ever been. I mean, Santi's in elite shape, and if you watch him practice every day, it's really fun to be in practice with him, because he doesn't have any days off in terms of him trying to get better, and he's has a great influence on our guys in terms of that. But they will complement each other in a great way. Like Kennedy's not afraid to defer to him if he gets the ball, vice versa. I still think that both Kennedy and I would say all three of them, Kennedy, Zakai, and Santi still at times try to do too much because we do put a lot on our point guard to try to get things done early in the possession in terms of where we want to attack space on the floor. And because of their competitive drive, all three of them, we're trying to teach them, hey, yeah, we want it. We want to go after it. I would say it like this. It's like a quarterback has maybe 2 or 3 different reads every time he steps back to pass. And you don't want the guys trying to make the home run throw every time. Sometimes you got to drop it to the checkoff guy. That's what we're working with these guys at. Yeah, we want them looking, but they're going to have to be able to back it out, reload, and move on to something else as opposed to just constantly trying to force it there. But that comes with the season being new, and you learn to play through it. But, again, we put so much on our point guard, especially in transition and the runner team that but all three of those guys in practice, they challenge each other. They have a great deal of respect for each other. They know they all need each other. And I think what's helped Kennedy, he would tell you, a guy like Zakai Ziegler, who he's never played against a guy smaller, who every day climbs into him close. I don't think anybody's ever guarded him any closer than what Zakai does every day. Santi guards him in a different way, and that happens with all three of them. They all three do different things with each other defensively, which I think in the long run is going to help them all.
So taking that conversation to the other part of the floor, Coach, Olivier Kumwa, he goes from a guy who didn't attempt a three-pointer all of last season to attempting 3 last night. Hit one very early on, a double-double, 14 rebounds, especially with John Fulkerson out in this early portion of the season. How critical is his growth now as he steps into his junior season?
It's critical. That's what I was saying earlier about last night with them being back in there so far, not trying to force it so much on top of those guys because I don't want to lose them early this year. I just wanted them to kind of play within the flow of the game last night. And but Olivier is, again, an extreme. If you ask anybody on the team, he would be one of the top 5 hard workers on our team. And what he did last night, and I've been after him about to do more, I want him to be flying around out there, making things because he's athletic. He's at his best when he's just really like a junkyard dog just going at it. In the past, you asked about him shooting threes. My problem with him in the past was I felt like that's what he wanted to do most. And there is no doubt he's more than capable of doing that, but we need him to do the things that we need him to do to help us as a team. And it's a mindset, and he's one of the most honest players I've ever been around that knows exactly what we're talking about, and it's almost like talking about changing DNA. But when we recruited Olivier, what we loved about him was he played with a very high level of aggressiveness, and he had a big motor. We wanted him to turn that motor on and go at it. We made a mistake last night on the bench. We had him down for 2 fouls. He actually had 3, and then he picked up a 4th one, and we didn't. That was our fault on the bench last night, and he had probably played a little bit more because he sat for a while there last night in the second half because he had picked up his 4th foul early in the half. Again, that was our mistake, but he's important. He's going to be critical to us. I think everyone sees that Uros has improved inside. We need Brandon Huntley to play. We need him to really understand that, hey, this is a whole different basketball game that he's ever played in his life, and learning how to defend. Like last night, I thought Olivier did some. We always have some kind of defensive scheme going on in terms of how we play ball screens. But last night at the end of the game, every chance that Olivier got to switch, and we weren't necessarily in that defense, but he was wanting to switch out because he knows for us to be an elite defensive team, many times this year he's going to have to switch out on the guards. And the fact that he was taking that initiative last night on his own, it was towards the end of the game, I thought was really great because that's something that we keep talking to him about, that he and we know Josiah has the ability to do it if we play smaller, but we need those guys to be able to guard guards, especially in late clock situations.
Coach Rick Barnes of the University of Tennessee has been our guest here on 104.5 The Zone. Coach, thanks so much for taking the time. Congratulations on the win last night. Continued health and success, and we'll certainly be watching when you guys host East Tennessee State at 11 o'clock Central on Sunday that, of course, people can hear right here on 104.5 The Zone. Take care, Coach.
Take care, and thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Rick Barnes there with us on the show. I could talk to that man about college basketball for hours. He's really, really good.
And anything else.
And anything else. He got some depth to him. Coach Barnes is somebody that I think has so many different layers to him that, you know, once you get past just what his identity is as a basketball coach and you really understand how he interacts with his players and what his kind of background is and how that allows him to relate to these guys that he brings in from all over the place. It gives you a different appreciation for the man who's running your basketball team.